What up, YouTube? It's your man, Beefy Big Guns! We out here! Woo! Breathe it in! Let's talk morel mushrooms. Am I gonna find any mushrooms out here today? Nope. Definitely not. It's cold still. The ground's frozen. The temperatures are coming up. That gets you, man, thinking about finding mushrooms. That's for sure. I'm only about 4 years into mushroom hunting. But last year, specifically, I made some leaps and bounds regarding finding morel mushrooms. And we out here, man. I'm here to share with you. So, we're bopping around the new woods today. I'm gonna take you through how I scout for morel mushrooms, trying to find new woods. Let's talk morels, let's go. I am not good at getting complete thoughts out. First things first. Morels have toxic lookalikes, yeah? Be sure what you're picking. You gotta cook morels thoroughly too. Don't forget to do that or else you're gonna end up shitting your pants. In no way, shape, or form is this going to be an all-encompassing guide to morel mushrooms. Not even close. I live in southern Wisconsin. I've hunted in a couple years of drought hard. Worked hard in drought years and found the ticket, I think, to what makes these mushrooms really pop around here. That might not be your experience. In the southern part of Wisconsin, banging around on public land, this is how I do it. Having the appropriate equipment, even though it's minimal, is important. If you're asking me, the number one thing to have, it's probably some brush pants. The best trees that I find are almost always back where nobody else finds them. So you're gonna have to be willing to kind of beat back into the crap to get morel mushrooms, and that's just the reality of it. Or just having the mindset that you don't mind getting torn up. Knife, mushroom bag, necessities, water and the like. That's all important stuff. So I know I kind of breezed through some stuff there at the end. There's plenty of people every year that find morel mushrooms in their bathrobe in their backyard. So gear is kind of optional. If you're going to beat back in the woods, be sensible about it. Periodically, we're going to dive in and dig out one of the finer points regarding the topic at hand in a segment I call Beefy's Greasy Bits. So if I'm greasing on something today, look, if you're not trying to tree identify first, best of luck to you. Morel mushrooms are an exercise in tree identification. Mushroom hunting is an exercise in tree identification. Now, does that encompass all mushrooms? No. There's plenty of mushrooms that grow in grasslands and stuff like that. If you're talking morels, if you're talking chicken of the woods, if you're talking hen of the woods, if you're talking chanterelles, a lot of different species of mushrooms that are highly sought after edibles, you're also talking about exercising in tree ID. Beefy's Greasy Bit, if you really want to be a mushroom hunter, learn trees. I think it's important to pay attention to the identifying features that are in the lower 10 feet. A lot of times when you're morel hunting, you're kind of in the you're in it. And that's my experience anyway. Sometimes extra looking up to check things out just means you're going to be catching a bramble in the face or something like that. If I am going out looking for morel mushrooms, the number one thing I'm scouting for, elm trees. American elm trees. Once you know what you're looking at, you can walk through the woods fast and see these things. They're not hard to pick out. It does take a little bit of training. Do not worry about the size of elm trees that you might be looking at. The spores for morels are everywhere. They've been around this area for millions and millions and millions of years. What I'm trying to say is that the spores are everywhere. All it takes is the right condition for the spores to start producing mushrooms. If I have a handful, let's say 5 key identifying features. First, sticks. A lot of the trees that you see in the woods put on their branches up top, higher up. Elm trees have a real thing for continually putting out these little branches down low where you can grab them off the tree. This one is definitely no exception here. Number 2, the bark is very spongy. You're not going to be able to see this, and I know that. But I can take that bark and really push it in. Even in these cold Wisconsin temperatures, this bark still is very, very spongy on the outside of it. All around it, like even on these big ridges here, I can really press that in. It's got the flakier bark, very spongy bark. Number 3, elm trees have these buttresses that flare out. This is the trunk of the tree coming down. And then look at how far this thing goes out. Now that's atypical. That's a really big one. But it's a perfect example of it. And the other thing I'd add about the buttresses on an elm tree is that they're usually pretty thin up on top. They are not the only tree that flares on the bottom, but they, in my opinion, are the only one that has a buttress where you can just wrap your hand around it all the way down. And it's not the only spot that it does that. Here's another one. You see that buttressing down low, especially on a smaller tree like this. That's a pretty sure sign you got an elm tree, if you're asking me. That, because I'm usually looking down on the ground, this is one of my number 1 identifying features. Number 4, elm trees have a specific look to them when it's morel time. So one of the first trees to leaf in the woods are going to be these elm trees, and they're going to put on like big balls up on top of them. They look like they're as big as your fist. That's one instance where I do look up. If I'm in a spot where I currently don't see a lot of elm trees, I can just scan the woods and go, hey, ooh, look at the balls up on top of that one. A big, huge growing elm tree probably has other dead elm trees around it, and that's really what we're looking for, is the dead ones. Trees basically suck nutrients up their whole life. You aren't going to find morels on live trees because they're still sucking. And you can have trees that are too dead. There's that sweet spot in each tree's life cycle where they're dumping the nutrients back out of it. Those are the ones to know. That's where you're going to find your mushrooms. The tree's dead. It doesn't have the leaves up in it. That leads us to number 5, which is, look at the shape of the tree. Elm trees tend to have an umbrella shape to them. They go up and then they hang out and down on the tips, kind of like this. 5 main IDs. Learn the sticks low, learn the touch of the bark and the look of the bark. Three, buttressing. 4, dangling balls. 5, umbrella. If you go out and you find big patches of elm trees, even if they're alive, mark those down. That's going to be where you want to be sometime soon. They don't make it to be super huge around here. They all die out. And it's those first years that they're dead, that's when you want to be on them. Seek and destroy, simply put. Find some game trails, find some paths, and just walk on it. Just walk fast and look for dead trees. Seek elm trees, and you're finding big dead elm trees. Then you destroy them. You can fill up a bag really fast with mushrooms. One of my best finds last year, I was just walking on a trail. I already had walked through a big woods and didn't find any mushrooms, any morels. Walked 100 yards up and down it. Ended up seeing a tree that I really, it was dead, so I kind of wanted to check that. It looked like a big oak tree until I got around the corner and saw that umbrella shape to it. And then I said, ooh la la. I approached that thing really nice and slow, and good thing I did. There was 30 mushrooms on that tree. It was one of my best finds last year. Morels aren't going to run away from you. You don't have to approach them slow. But when I think I have a good tree found, I really try not to lose any underneath your feet. Morels are hard to see on the ground, so be careful not to lose them underfoot. Alright guys, I'm pretty excited. I can't really tell you if these are alive or not. This one appears to be dying, but it still has the sticks up in the top of it. Maybe it got hit by lightning or something. Looks like it kind of took a shot down the side. This is my first real tree that I found today where I'm like, hey, I got a shot of finding morels on this tree this year. The bark is coming off, but it's still got all the little sticks up in the top of it. I think we're in business here. So great. That's my first real tree, and this is a long walk to get back here. I hope to find a dozen more of these as we scoop around. But that's really what I'm looking for. Look at the buttressing. This is a big old elm tree that seems to be in pretty rough shape. As you scoop out this way, a little less elevation, pretty close to water. We're getting somewhere now. This is going to be a good spot to come and check for morels, I think, later this year. Yes! Yes! It's a great idea to have some kind of mapping app. I use Onyx Hunt. It allows you to place waypoints so you can literally mark trees that you like and walk right, within a few yards of them on the next time you're out again. It's a huge tool. And trust me, if you get, if you walk through 6 or 8 of these woods trying to find the right trees, you're not going to remember all of them by the time you're done. I don't even remember all the ones I've actually found morels on, because I didn't have this app a couple years ago. It's really helped me since then. You really want to pay attention. Once you find some mushrooms, you really want to pay attention to which slope you find them on, in terms of how they're orientated towards the sun. Morels are a temperature sensitive thing. The soil has to be the right temperature for the mushrooms to pop up. But that could mean that if you have a really good sunny day, the south side of the slope is going to catch the most sun first. The sun's still in the southern part of the sky. You got to pay attention to where that sun is going to be hitting. Check the places where the sun's going to hit first. On the south slopes, worst east and west, and then typically you're going to find them on the north slopes the last opportunity that you have. Jeepers. Brambles. Once you have an eye for the trees that you're looking for, don't be afraid to go look at them anywhere you see them. Last year, I went out with my family for a walk, and it was morel season, and so my wife understands me well. She knows I'm always kind of hunting at that point. I said, oh babe, look at that tree. It's right in the city of Madison. I mean, 5 feet from a public right-of-way. There was 3 huge yellows on that thing. The 3 biggest yellows I found last year were on a tree that literally dozens of people walked by every single day, right in the middle of a city. That's insane to me. The spores are literally everywhere, and all it takes is for you to learn how to ID those trees, and you're gonna be in them. I'm talking to you. Be patient. All those big yellows I'm talking about that I found were underneath mayflowers. I walked up on the tree and I said, there ain't no mushrooms here. And then I looked back up at the tree and I said, but dang, that tree is right. And then I went down and I brushed on the May apples. Found them. Found them suckers right underneath there. 3 big ones. There's the pic of me and my family holding our mushrooms. It was glorious. I felt like a hero. So, what did we accomplish out here today? Nothing really. My big ass got a little sweaty, that's good. In terms of the woods, there's some elm trees around, but it's not gangbusters with them. I certainly was hoping for better. But that's part of the game. You go out, you use your eyes, you scout. Not every single one's gonna be an absolute home run. If you're talking about something fun to do in the downtime when there's not really a lot of seasons going on, mud season as I call it, spring thaw, whatever the hell you want to call it. Mud season sucks unless you got something fun to do. Scouting Morels just might be the ticket for you. And trust me, if you put the time in, you put the miles in, you put the energy in, you put the patience in, and continue to grow your mind around the task at hand, you will find some, and they will be absolutely thrilling. It's really no wonder and secret to me why people really enjoy doing this and putting in the effort and the time. It's really just great exercise in the end, if nothing else. Enjoy nature. Take all this information that I gave you. Don't like it? Comment below. Tell me what I messed up. If you do like it, take it out to the woods and use it. I think you'll do better morel hunting if you take in and lock away a few of these nuggets I'm dropping today. I wish you all the best of luck. We out here, and I'll catch you on the next one.